Welcome to Rush Mode, the number one 30-minute zombies podcast, hosted by me and also Matt.
I'm here.
First of the three topics is about the Warsaw Pact Operators working with Requiem. So in Cold War, we've got Warsaw Pact, operators working with Requiem. Even though it doesn't seem like that would make a whole lot of sense, you'd think they'd be working for Omega Group. So yeah, we're going to talk about that. Do we even care about it? Is that important? What do you think, Matt?
Whew, that's tough because normally I just say we're not supposed to think about it and it's gameplay, but Treyarch has gone out of their way to canonize gameplay, and even stuff like the point system, which I thought was pretty obviously gameplay, is now canonized in the sense that, what is it? It's called Essence now. Like before, characters had quotes about it, but it was still sort of up in the air. But I mean, all of that is now canonized. So I don't know. The only thing that I could think is that it's like another sort of like what we dealt with Perseus and a couple other examples. That it's like a USSR sort of splinter group. That's like what Omega Group is. They're kind of an independent actor, and maybe that's why there's some cooperation between Warsaw and Requiem. Although it seems pretty clear though when you're talking to like Carver and Weaver.
Yeah, he talked about like getting the upper hand on the Soviets.
Yeah, so it's believe me, the explanation is not foolproof, because the indication, and if I remember, I think even in Firebase Z, when I think it's Peck, I always forget his name, but I think when you talk to him too, he treats you, as the enemy, like you're a NATO or an American, and it's just weird. If you're like Port Nova or someone like that, I know there's who's R? What's his name again? Not Ram. What? Oh,
Ravenov.
Ravenov, yeah. When you meet him in Firebase, he's like, these people aren't following like they're not all of us are like Omega Group. So I mean, there is canonization of like Omega Group kind of is doing its own thing, and maybe because of their ties to Kravchenko, I guess it's like this universe's Ascension Group. I don't know. It's weird. I guess did Omega Group become Omega Group like from Ascension Group? Because I guess if we're still in the campaign timeline, Ascension Group still has to exist to some extent.
Yeah, Omega Group. Ascension Group is still a thing. I think it's actually an Ascension Group logo, like the campaign version.
Yeah, so the zombies Ascension Group never really happened, but it seems like the whatever would be the zombies Ascension Group now became Omega Group. If I'm right, that seems to be kind of like
okay. All right.
Yeah, so I don't know. I guess that's my hand wavy explanation. Independent actors, who kind of have their own game plan. I don't know. What do you think?
I'm just gonna put it under the same camp as the elixirs in Black Ops 4 being in Ether, where it just makes the most financial sense to just make it the same across the board. Because I mean they want everything integrated into everything in the game, so I guess it's better than microtransactions that involve like game changing stuff. So I guess that's a compromise to where we just don't think about the operators.
Yeah, I mean I think it's that fluidity to integrate into Warzone and Modern Warfare, before we get the Modern Warfare operators and zombies. But yeah, I think that's probably the biggest thing, is that they want everything to feel like it's the same system, and you're not really switching too much. You still have your guns, your skins, so I guess it makes sense. If you want to have your content unlocked in zombies, you can play your operators, which
I think the operators are just for our benefit. Is I think in Outbreak, whenever there's the little side quest where you find some bodies of Requiem agents that got there before you, and you get a free perk by killing whoever killed them. I think basically that's what we are. We're just another group of soldiers. Because I mean, every time we exfil, it's like we'll get them next time, or they're always like, we sent in another group of Requiem before you. So it's like you're just one of many, which it depends how you look at it. If that's
I guess
important.
The only one or two that I would say, but the definitive one so far is Sam, I mean, even then, I mean, I know she's tied to Requiem, but I mean, she wasn't at, Die Machina, and you pick her up at the end of Firebase Z, so it doesn't explain everything, but I guess it's more than likely that moving forward, maybe she's in these zones or whatever. Although I think isn't in Intel she's back being interrogated by Weaver.
Yeah,
so yeah, I don't know.
that actually there is something interesting with that. I think because I was just saying earlier they're like faceless, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I think there is some level of significance to our operators because there's like or not our, I mean just the squad we play as underneath the operators
Mm-hmm.
because there's like we have like this connection with Sam because I guess we go into Dark Aether, so we're a little bit corrupted too. After we went in there on like the Machina.
Yeah.
And so like there's a thing where apparently our group keeps asking Weaver, like after we rescue Sam, they keep asking Weaver, what's up with Sam, but he doesn't have like the authority to tell us. Then it's like after he finally gets the authority to tell us, he's like, okay, I know you guys have been asking. Here's how Sam's doing. And then later there's another intel. This is in like the latest intel. Sam talks about how similar we both went to Dark Aether. And she's like telling us all this stuff about how she doesn't really trust Requiem anymore. And, like Weaver. It's like why would she be telling that to just any old operators unless it's there's some sort of connection because we're the ones that saved her and like we've touched the Dark Aether. So I think I'm assuming by Firebase Z going forward we're going to be playing the same group essentially.
Yeah, I would say it's kind of, I guess, iffy because it sounds like they might not even, in terms of lore, like let Sam back out in the field. But if there's anyone who would be out there, I feel like it would be Sam. And then I just want to say, because you and I talked about this off air too, Woods. I feel like Woods is probably out of any of the operators. I would be willing to bet he is somehow tied to this. But there's no like official confirmation. Everyone else, I think, is just like
sure. It'd just be kind of weird if it's like in Black Ops 2 he's corrupted by the Dark Aether. Actually, I could totally believe it. He's kind of like a psycho in Black Ops 2, so maybe he was corrupted by the Dark Aether.
How about he's just like completely immune? He's like Ultimis. You can't corrupt him. You can't kill him. You can't corrupt him.
He's like an onion.
Yeah, that's it. I think that's the true meaning of the onion.
Right. I am interested to see if they'll keep going forward with that. Like, because that does sound interesting to me. Like we're just like a faceless group, but there is a character there. It's kind of sort of like, I guess like the player characters in Black Ops 3, where they're customizable. Yes. They're like, they just could be anybody, but like they actually are like integrated into the story, and they're kind of important.
I think it's kind of there's a weird irony in that the nameless soldiers who eventually got names like in Black Ops for Nocturne und Toten, or at least for Ruct, I feel like they have more personality and are more it's easier to identify them than established operators who are put into this, because the way the equation sort of works is they feel like you don't even know who's there, and then the nameless generic soldiers actually have more of an identity. And
I could totally I bet I'm willing to bet by the end of the season, maybe even next game, there will be like I bet we're going to no longer be allegiant to Requiem as it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
So like we'll be referred to as like Task Force, some number, and like we'll actually be like a defined set of characters that are, not named obviously because it can be any operator, but like we'll know it's just a group of soldiers that are they just happen to be important. They're not like Ultimis where they're like tied to the universe. They're just people that happen to be put on the path, which I think could actually really work out. I'm actually, after this discussion, I am kind of more into the idea.
I don't want it to be my monkey's paw, but I still think Ultimis is going to return. But I like the idea of like a Task Force 115 or something like that. That's kind of cool. Although it makes me who's going to tank Requiem? Is it, you know what I mean? Because we have the 4 or 5 established characters of like Weaver, Carver, etc. Like who's the that begs the question, right? If Requiem can't be trusted, who's doing it?
Yeah, there's been some speculation about who's betraying who. I'm not too. I think it's not going to be betrayal. More like Requiem is just built on, not solid foundation. There's something with the director. So I don't even know if it'll be one of the characters we know. I think it would be more interesting if it was
Got it. Yeah.
something outside that. But like,
That,
yeah, I think Requiem's just is corrupt from the inside out.
that's kind of, I think,
That's why
where
Sam's not like officially part of it. She's kind of separate. She's not really following what.
It's Purnell. He's come back.
Cornelius Purnell.
But yeah, I can't. And it's not even like, oh, because I don't expect him, I'd expect him. But I really don't think they would use Weaver just to bring him back to do like a heel turn or a reverse heel. I don't think they would.
Do.
Well, see, I look at it that he got assigned to Requiem, and it was like such a high level of clearance. That's why he's just sort of off the books. Like, why bring him back and then be like, oh, he's bad, kill him?
Yeah, I hope they do him some justice there. I also hope we get some closure with his like niece and all that.
Yeah.
Our next topic is about comic series ideas. So they've done for Ether, they did the one Victus comic series, and for Chaos they did a whole prequel series.
And
I think. Oh yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say the campaign. I think has had.
Yeah, there was one for Black Ops 3. I think there's some for Black Ops 4 as well.
They were always focused on the operators. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that basically we're talking about ideas going forward. Maybe stuff like resolving stuff in Ether. There's probably gonna be a lot of that, but also like anything outside of that. So just comic series ideas. So what are some ideas you're thinking of, Matt?
I think going along the idea of filling in the gaps, maybe not like a whole series, but what if it was a series of like one-shot adventures? Maybe taking like each particular comic focuses on a certain part of the storyline that's kind of just either there was loose ends or maybe provide more context. Like I don't know, Brock and Gary always come to mind. Maybe you could have a whole comic series just about Brock and Gary, kind of like an action adventure kind of thing. So I don't know. I think you could do either or, but that would be an example of one. But like for
yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I'm trying to think like minor characters. What like minor characters would be just suitable for like one?
Like
Gersh?
Sally.
Yeah, Sally. Yeah, Sally. I don't know, like maybe like
George Romero or.
Yeah, I think stuff like that might be suitable for like a one shot, or maybe something about like all the outbreaks at the Pentagon. Just have a comic, just one little comic about like what happened surrounding those events.
Right.
Other than
like one shots like just between maps, the ones when there's like weird gaps in time.
Yeah.
In the timeline.
Well, I was thinking the sort of the mysterious pages in the Victus comics where like what was it? There's like Ultimis Richtofen with Primus, like stuff like that. I think would also be really cool.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I don't know what other ideas what comes to mind for you.
I was thinking also like, okay, there's like the between the maps ones. Like, I think there's like a big gap between whenever Ultimus gets out of Darius and then they get to Shinonuma and then they go back to Darius. There's like 2 weeks between those events. It was pointed out that it would actually make a lot of sense, like route wise, if to get to Japan, right? They go from Darius to Noct because it's in Morosco, Poland. We know that now, which wouldn't even be that far from Breslau. And then they could then go to Verrucht and then from there take like a plane or something.
Well, I thought they teleported, or did they not teleport, or is that? Oh,
maybe I don't think there's a teleport.
Yeah,
I don't think it has to be a teleport, but it could be. But like that would be like an easy way to like map out that route between, and like that would tie into like why they're at those maps in Black Ops 1 and all that.
What if they? No, I'm trying to think. Never mind. Never mind. I was gonna say, what if they went to Tog or something already, and then, but I was thinking that.
Oh, that would be wild.
Yeah.
Another idea was resolving the Chaos storyline because it deserved a finale.
Something, yeah, like its own little series. I think just to wrap that up, or honestly, even more like Chaos backstory comics, like stuff about the cult. I don't know. You could even do like sort of like pseudo historical comics, maybe something about Medusa, or I don't know. Just like maybe each comic follows like a particular pantheon or god. So each story or each little like one shot entry, has self-contained characters, but sort of overarching connection to that particular pantheon, the artifacts. I don't know, that would be cool.
Definitely.
I think like I know well. I know you also had something similar, but just the connection between Broken Arrow and what is it, Dershatten? Maybe something like little like Broken Arrow misadventures would kind of be cool.
Yeah, yeah. Definitely more Broken Arrow after 1968 when
Mm.
Purnell turns into Avogadro. Like, just what if they're doing in that entire gap where like they make the denizens, they're like studying the Avogadro stuff like that, and so like then you could easily have like a Russman set of comics.
Yeah, that's
And
a
that would easily tie into the Victus comics too, because it's just like Russman doing like Men in Black shit.
that'd be cool, like anomalies and stuff like that. Like,
Right.
yeah, you could use him as the lens through which you kind of see the backstory of all the stuff that was going on in Broken
Right.
Arrow.
Yeah, yeah. It's an easy way to like look at the world from the point of view of just like a civilian, or like well, from not a civilian, but like ground level, basically.
Yeah, that would be cool. I think sort of the equivalent. And connecting back to our first topic, what about like a series of comics about what operators joined Requiem, or sort of like that process of how kind of tying maybe campaign and zombies a little bit together, where you maybe get a better sense of who's on the Requiem team, and Woods would be regardless, but something like
Oh, yeah.
that, like a Woods kind of Requiem zombie story.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
also say, what about Nightmares? How about a Nightmare comic?
Resolve the Nightmares storyline. Yeah,
Yes, I think that just deserves something. And
you could
it'll
definitely
be.
do that.
How about this at the end of each comic? Maybe there's like a Dead Ops arcade mini comic or something like that.
I could totally see that being a thing.
Yeah. I
You
don't
know, we could marry the two, the Requiem and the Russman idea, the Rogan here.
know. Ooh.
Instead of so now in Darky their storyline, Russman's back, but obviously he's not working for Broken Arrow, but he's still a person in the universe. He's working as an agent for Requiem. Because
Yeah.
like we're in the prime time, so then you just have him working do Requiem stuff, like recruiting people potentially.
Ooh, you made me think of something though. I like that, and I think regardless, Russman should be an operator. But I'm surprised they didn't do that. But anyway, what about a comic series that's half ether and half dark ether? And they're meant to show like parallels, like almost literal bookends to each other. So like I was thinking like what if on one side it's like Russman and Broken Arrow, and then the other kind of like half of the story is Requiem and the operators, and maybe tackling similar topics and like weird sort of like crossover kind of connection between what happened in the old world and the new world.
Right, right. They see like glimpses through like dark ether anomalies
Yeah.
and stuff. I think
Yeah.
that could be really interesting. Yeah, play with time.
It'd kind of be a nice like way to keep both aspects of the story alive. And we have enough like timey-wimey stuff that, what has happened will happen, you know what I mean? So it's like, it'd be like, okay, there's still sort of a direct connection between what they're doing there and what's happening now, and like a weird feedback loop, like bootstrapper paradoxes, blah, 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 all that stuff. But I think that'd be cool.
Right. Yeah.
Also be
You know,
orange and purple. I just thinking of the colors. Anyway, you were saying.
Yeah. No, I was thinking like a Richtofen origin story. You know how it's like Batman origin story. His
Yeah.
parents die in the alley, but in this one, Richtofen's parents die in the alley.
And he killed them.
They all kill their parents.
For botched surgery. But,
Yeah, Richtofen's just like how did he become a scientist? What was his? Because there's a whole there's like hints of him in the orphanage and like wanting to be this great scientist and ego and all that. That'd be interesting to explore.
what about like an Ultimis, hell, even Primus backstory? Sort of like your World at War biographies, like finally telling those stories, or taking all the other crews and giving them more backstory, like like the mob crew.
Yeah.
That would be cool to have. It doesn't even have to be
sure.
for like two zombies related, but just like their escapades as mobsters.
Right. Victus could use that too. Not even just Russman. Like, I'd love to see more Stillinger, that's like in the flesh, kind of
Yes.
how he got his conspiracy brain. What was all
Marlton.
going on with that? Yeah, maybe make Marlton likable. That'd be great. Do that. And then Missy, give her anything because we don't know anything about her really.
Yeah, and don't tie it to the tank origin story. That's the
Oh,
one.
why did you say that name? Yeah, don't do that. Don't do that. There's like tons of like kind of Cold War conspiracy stuff they could do. Look at Majestic 12, like
Ooh, yeah.
what they're studying about Group 935. That would even like, they could get more insight into Group 935 and how they operated, but also like the transition into the Cold War from like the Groom Lake zombies, perspective.
Ooh, or like sending them to Moon, like that kind of all those
Mm-hmm.
weird kind of run experiments. I also think this doesn't really. I mean, you I don't know how much you could add, but how certain entries in the for the maps were like the cinematic intros were more like comic books. Like I don't know, taking those and maybe turning them into a comic, maybe a little bit before, after the map, like making those
Yeah,
comic book intros actually feel like comics would kind of be cool.
yeah. Just like because like that'd be great for like one shots, just
Yeah.
between the maps. Showing the little details, like how the fuck did they get from like Zetsubo to Gorod? Why are they falling from the sky like that?
Yeah, but I even meant like like what is it? Die Rise and Dreisendrach, like they have like comic book
Oh yeah,
intros, like taking
yeah.
those and putting them. Also a Pitfall comic. I don't know because Diego and Pitfall are somehow tied. So there you go.
Yeah. Add another universe to the multiverse.
There you go.
Put it on top, put it on top of the pile. Also, I just want to quickly say, what about George Romero and his research?
Ooh,
I'm a stand for George Romero, so
that's a good
I
one.
want to know what's up with him. Knowing about Shangri-La and Ultimis and all that. I want to figure out how that happens. So our final topic of the night is, why was Ultimis Takeo not the protagonist? So if you remember back in Moon, after that Easter egg, Takeo says something about destroying the last remnants of 935, and I think a lot of people in the community felt like he was going to kind of take the reins as leader um, instead of Richtofen. But and then in the end of Toten, obviously we've got Nikolai leading the group. So what do you think caused that change?
I think the first thing I would say is, I mean, we technically don't see 935 anymore, right? There's no group
Yeah,
935.
yeah, Takeo did win.
So I guess
He got a
he
big one.
roundabout way, but he did it. So
He did it by doing pretty much nothing, just followed along with Richtofen and Nikolai. Yeah.
I guess either intentionally or unintentionally killing himself, but mission
Right.
accomplished.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so personally, I think maybe we were just getting into it a little too much
Mhm.
at the time, I guess, because it's just obviously he would be mad, and obviously he's not gonna be like, oh, he fucked up. Oh well, he's a guy who would be, we had something about this even too.
Hold his honor and everything. Yeah.
Right, but I mean, it's worth talking about because at that time I don't think anyone knew what the hell was gonna happen next. Like after Moon, like I love how that map feels very. It's like very unclear where it's gonna go afterwards because like I mean even like the game over sound, it's like usually and then some music, but it's just a laugh and just empty space. Like oh this everyone's dead. This is it.
You're like, oh, okay. Yeah,
Flip the earth. Okay.
it's it is kind of weird. It's also it reminds me, when you go to the Black Ops 2 loading screen or the zombies menu and you literally see like the planet is just completely shattered. And I get it's all like sci-fi stuff, but it's like how does anything even exist on the planet anymore? So
Oh yeah. What remnants of Group 935 were we talking about, Takeo? Where?
I don't know. Maybe
The moon?
the Hollow Earth, but the Dark Ether. What if that is the Dark? All right, so Dark Ether opens up. Nazis come back, but it's Group 935 all along, and they've just been waiting.
Oh, they're calling themselves Group 935 now.
Yeah. Or what if it
Yeah,
was?
they took their symbol and maybe like changed it a little bit.
It's an upside down. Or what if somehow it is Group 935, and they've just been waiting all this time? But anyway,
Yeah, Dr. Max has been waiting. The Dark
Ascension Group.
Oh god, that would be. I don't know how I would feel about that. I would be like, really?
Well,
What
yeah, Monty
what are we doing?
didn't he erase Maxis? So like, did he erase Maxis or did he just banish Maxis to the Dark Ether?
I feel like Maxis definitely could still be around. He wasn't tied to the Dark Ether or to the Ether or anything.
But I thought like the thing was Maxis became corrupted, so that's why Monty removed him. And I'm assuming it's Dark Ether corruption, right?
Mm. Yeah, but like I just mean like, wouldn't if his soul was still a thing, it's like not connected to the ether, then surely once the universe starts, he could still come back.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
Now whether he's important or just a penniless loser that at a young age, we don't know. Yeah, I feel like Sam would track him down if he was still alive.
I was just about to say that she probably would investigate, or unless it's like
if she does remember anything, she might not. It's still kind of up in the air how much she remembers. But
is there another Sam? Is there another? But yeah, maybe Max is never married, or who knows? I don't know.
Sam too.
I don't think there would be, because I think they all should have still one soul. Who knows? I don't know. We'll give it another year, and then we'll have those questions.
That actually would be. Oh wait. Yeah, what if when Sam went to Dark Ether, she saw another Sam? It's the Sam of this universe. Maybe Maxis was an evil nun who went into Dark Ether with all the Germans, right? Mm-hmm. They've been building up the Fourth Reich or whatever in there, and the Sam of this. This doesn't make any sense probably, but the Sam of his daughter Sam is in there, mm-hmm. and now we have two Sams and they're like opposing sides, right? She's like kind of torn, her father, and what's right, I suppose.
Yeah,
that sounds really schlocky. Now that I think about it, so.
Well, I'll tell you what. Give it a year. You may be on the money.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Probably not. But maybe.
I don't know. I mean, we know the Chronorium isn't that. It varies depending on the observer. So. To the Dark Ether, who knows? I don't even know what happens to people.
Yeah, he got eat. He got ate.
He got ate.
Monty got him. Monty ate him. So.
Okay, there we go.
He ate him like spaghetti.
That's right. Oh yeah.
Yeah. But how did we get onto that from Ultimis Takeo?
Sorry. I went on the topic of being in the Dark Ether, but I don't know. I think. Do
you think he could have been like a Nikolai figure?
Well, I think it would be neat. If I mean, now it seems like they wanted Ultimis collectively to be the heroes, but it would kind of be fun to watch the torch get passed around, I guess, and each character sort of has their to try and rectify things, or maybe each time they kind of have like a piece of the puzzle and they get it a little bit more right. So like, it's like Richtofen, then it's Nikolai, then maybe it's Takeo, then it's Tank.
Well, I'm wondering like. I was thinking about like how early did they choose Nikolai as like the leader, because I think it might have been as far as back as Mob of the Dead. There was the whole like he could hear Nikolai name, yeah. And so like I think is the only reason in universe that Nikolai's like the guy is because his soul, his like map is the last one. It's Red Crowley. He's the last soul that they capture before they get to the house, right? So that's like the cutoff point. So he's the one. But like if I guess when did Jason Blundell decide it was Nikolai? Which maybe it was like right in the beginning, Mob of the Dead. That was because they planned a lot of like the whole story pretty early.
Yeah, and it doesn't even have to be like entirely fleshed out. They can have sort of a general direction of we want to use Nikolai as the so.
He did say like his favorite character was Nikolai, so I could see it like
always
that being the direction he wanted to go.
Mm.
So, and I guess maybe the Takeo thing was like a Zelensky thing. Kind of the underdog that no one really paid attention to, but then he could have easily.
We got like our Nikolai and Richtofen arcs, and that was Primus, right? Maybe we'd have Ultimis, Tank, and Takeo. I know it's still Primus, but isn't there something a pact between like what was it Takeo and Tank? Don't they say something like if things go south, do you have my back? Right? Does he say, or is he saying, or is that or is that a Nikolai and Tank?
I think Nikolai and Tank say that, but like, well, Tank and Takeo definitely have like a really close thing, like a really close bond.
Which is kind of funny.
Like a conversation in Alpha Omega where Primus Tank is talking to Ultimis Takeo, and he's like, "Me and your other self, we have a close bond." And then Ultimis Takeo is like, "Is this appropriate? Is this appropriate conversation?" But like. They had like the whole thing. Well, they're the only ones that have their souls taken because
that's what
Nikolai
I mean.
Obviously hadn't yet. So
I still not to derail the topic, but like the children, we have Eddie and Sam, but nothing with Tank and Takeo. Are they just the souls?
The souls are just in the key. They got blowed up. They
exploded. Yeah, I don't know. I think there is some connection, even though Ultimis, Tank, and Takeo sort of hated each other, but it would be neat maybe in sort of like in 4 segments, like maybe next is Takeo and then it ends with Tank, or next is Tank and it ends with
Right.
Takeo.
Well, Tank had a respect for Takeo. He's always like, you know how it's like every character has a character that they like and they'll like say good job, and then the other one they'll say like hate you. His was like he likes Takeo, and then Takeo, well, he just kind of didn't pay attention to Dempsey.
Did Takeo like? I'm trying to remember. I think Takeo liked Nikolai, right? Or
Takeo hated Nikolai, but he liked Richtofen.
Richtofen.
He has like
okay.
he had like kind of a very big loyalty to Richtofen that like
That's what it was. Yeah, because
obviously by the end turned. But I think
everyone sort of hated Takeo. I feel like that.
yeah, it's unfortunate. Dempsey did say something like, you know, we need a guy like him that's. I wish I remember what he said. He was like, we need a guy like him that's not like not very funny, because he makes the rest of us look cooler.
I feel like Takeo was maybe Tank. I mean, it would make sense given the historical background why they wouldn't like each other, but it felt like Tank was more just like ribbing. I think Richtofen just didn't like Takeo, and I guess Nikolai was sort of indifferent. I know Richtofen liked Nikolai. I'm trying to remember the directionality of how it went. Richtofen liked Nikolai. I think
Nikolai and Takeo hated each other.
Yeah, Nikolai and Takeo hated each other. Richtofen didn't like Nikolai. I think Nikolai liked Tank, right?
Yeah.
Okay, and then I guess Tank hated Takeo the least, and then Takeo liked Richtofen. There you go.
Right. Yeah, I think definitely by the end, because I mean, he even in Alpha Omega, he's talking to Nikolai, and or Nikolai kind of considers him a friend by that point. So I think Takeo was pretty much liked by the end. I could definitely see him like taking over. Yes, the most experience, so it would make sense in that way. Anyway, good talk. Good rush mode.
Yes.
So, thanks for joining me, Matt.
No problem.
See you guys next time.